Hello learners, welcome to this online course. We are discussing the module on disaster management, and in today's session we will discuss about the disaster management plan, objectives, scope and structure. I am Dr. Rakhi Sharma from School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Learners, disaster in power sector can occur due to natural calamities as well as human acts. So each power utility must have in place a disaster management plan with well-defined objectives. So in our previous session, we discussed the impact of various types of disasters due to natural calamities and human acts on the power distribution sector especially. So we briefly discussed about requisite disaster preparedness measures and post-disaster activities that should be undertaken by a power utility. So learners, in today's session we are going to discuss about the disaster management plan, objectives, scopes. So what are the learning objectives? So after learning this session, you should be able to explain the objectives and scope of disaster management plan of a utility, and you should be able to describe the major constituents of the disaster management system and their functions. So electricity in our country is a vast and complex, and its integrated operation demands utmost vigilant care. You know that it is a big network of the generation, transmission, distribution. So this needs utmost care. So natural calamities such as earthquake, floods, storms, cyclones, droughts and etc., as well as human acts like terrorist threats, attack and sabotage, bomb threats and bomb explosions, strikes, major equipment failure, etc., they can have a devastating effect on the electricity grid and cause major equipment failure of the electricity grid. So possible mishaps in transmission system in the event of the disaster due to various natural calamities and crises are, what are these? There may be the snapping of conductors, because under extreme wind condition and these conductors of the transmission lines, they may get snapped, or means transmission line towers may also collapse. So there are some other mishaps like the collapse of the transmission towers, the flood, landslides, earthquakes cause damage to or failure of foundation of the towers, even washing away of foundation for river crossing towers. And there may be the mishap kind like landslides in the hilly terrain affecting towers of the transmission lines. Then flooding of substation may happen because of these disasters, and destruction and even fire in the power utility substations especially. This all caused by this disaster. So there can be the various mishaps in the transmission system and the distribution system due to the natural calamities. So disruption in the power transmission occur in case substations are affected by the floods, earthquakes, and there are many more possible mishaps in the event of disasters due to various natural calamities and crises. So in addition to this, terrorist attack, fire accidents may also cause damage to transmission lines, substations, which in certain cases may lead to the grid failure and could black out the entire region, complete power failure for a considerable period of time. So various faults, equipment failures, maloperations are other common causes of a grid failure. So in the event of a grid failure, coordinated actions are required to be taken at generating stations, substations and transmission for speedy restoration of power supply. So disaster management is what? Disaster management encompasses all such activities that enable various agencies to plan for, quickly respond to, and to recover from unexpected events and situations. So how will you define the disaster management plan? What is this? So disaster management plan in the power sector is a tool to provide necessary guidelines to organizations engaged in generation, transmission and distribution of electrical power. For what? For ensuring safety of people, protection of environment, protection of installations and restoration of the power supply. So it is intended to establish policies, procedures and organizational structure for response to emergencies that are of magnitude to cause a significant disruption of functioning of all or portion of the distribution area. So this is a disaster management plan. Basically this is a tool which is providing this, which is encompasses all kind of activities to tackle these disasters. So the first step in planning of disaster management involves assessing which areas are prone to which kind of natural or man-made disasters. You can note that based on the data collected the world over, natural calamities like earthquakes, cyclones, floods, etc., they have been studied extensively. These studies generally going on and data are collected. So it has become possible to predict their intensities with a certain degree of confidence, so that the structure, the equipment, machinery, etc., they can be designed to withstand the effect of these forces caused by these mishaps or disasters. So seismic loads as well as wind loads have to be measured in the country by various organizations like Indian Meteorological Department, Geological Survey of India, etc. As regard floods, the Central Water Commission is involved in the measurement of discharge data of the various rivers. These data are continuously studied by these agencies. So first of all, we will see what is disaster zoning for the natural calamities. So disaster zoning refers to identifying the areas having similar parameters on an average. So it is very essential that for the disaster management planning that the disaster zoning is done. So suitable margins and factor of safety are considered in design of the structures to sustain the severity according to the zone characteristics. Maybe some zone may prone to the it may go to the severe destruction. So all the design parameters are decided on the basis of that under which category it falls. So so that the zoning is done. So however the intensity, suddenness and the extent of any natural calamity are beyond the perfect assessment and have to be effectively managed in the event of its occurrence. Let us discuss that one by one. First, that zoning for the earthquakes. This is a natural calamity. How we can do the zoning in the case of the earthquake? So the extent of the impact of an earthquake depends on its magnitude, location and time of occurrence. You know all this thing. So Geological Survey of India and Meteorological Department monitor the earthquake hazards of the country. So in general, a macro level map has been prepared which divides the country into 5 zones of various probable maximum intensities on an increasing scale, like from zone 1 to zone 5. It has been divided. So zone 1 includes the part of the country where seismic risk is minimum. Then Zone 5 covers the portion of the country where seismic risk is highest. So in increasing scale, the zoning has been done in case of the earthquakes. So the Bureau of Indian Standards has published a code, namely IS 1893, for earthquake resistance designs of various structures, including structures for power plants. So power supply installations are either located to avoid high seismic zones or designed as per Bureau of Indian Standard codes. So every design should be as per the, otherwise first of all avoid these high seismic zone, and second, if it is necessary to make the installation, in that case it should be as per the BIS code. So all the buildings and other infrastructures must be designed as per these codes, keeping in view of the suitable design margins and factor of safety. Now let us discuss about the zoning in case of the floodplain. So floodplain zoning as such aims at determining the locations and the extent of the areas likely to be affected by floods of different magnitudes. The frequency of the flood of different kind of frequency can be there, and to develop these areas in such a fashion that the resulting damage is reduced to a minimum. So on the basis of the magnitudes and the frequency of the floods, these zoning are decided. So Central Water Commission has carried out the floodplain zoning in some river basins in the country. So you can see here the floodplain zoning, the various zone has been shown here, that as per the concept of floodplain zoning, the floodplain has been classified into three categories: warning zone, prohibitive zone, and restricted zone. For the purpose of regulating land use in different flood zones, because all the infrastructure will be their location will be decided as per this zoning. So different types of buildings and utility services have been grouped under three priorities, like priority 1, priority 2 and priority 3. So the regulating the land use in different flood zones. So priority 1 covers like defense installations, industries, the public utilities like hospitals, electrical installations, water supply, telephone exchange, aerodromes, then railway stations, commercial centers, etc. Under priority 2, we can cover the public institutions, government offices, universities, public libraries, and residential areas. Under priority 3, in the floodplain zoning, according to this floodplain zoning, it can cover the parks and playgrounds. So accordingly, these installations are established. So here you can see one picture where we have shown the plan. Then the frequent flood that is defined as a 3. Then flood once in 25 years, the second zone. Then the flood once in 100 years, the first zone. And as per this zoning, no power project should be located within the flood zone corresponding to 100 years of frequency. You can see in the figure here, or the maximum observed flood level. So the foundation level of the power plant is kept at least 1 meter above the maximum observed flood level, or the flood level of 100-year frequency, to avoid any damage due to these floods. So you can see in the figure where the power utilities, where the playground and with the hospitals. So here this is giving the clear picture of the flat plane zoning. Then now we shall discuss the objectives and scope of the disaster management plan. So the objectives of the disaster management plan, what it should be? It should to improve the state of preparedness. Why? Because it is necessary to improve the state of preparedness to meet any contingency due to any natural calamity or many activities. So the other objective of disaster management plan is reduce to response time in organizing assistance, because in case of any emergency, crisis or disaster, it is necessary to provide assistance as soon as possible. So our objective is, while making the disaster management plan is to reduce the response time. Then identify major resources. It is necessary that one has to identify the utility or organization has to identify what are the resources in such cases, like the human, what will be the human resources, material and equipment needed to make the plan operational in case of such events. Then make the optimum use of the combined resources, because the resources are limited in such kind of events. So how to make the optimum use of these resources, these all are the objective of the disaster management plan. Now let us discuss the scope of the disaster management plan. So it should be very clear to the any organization or utility. So the disaster management plan should spell out the roles and responsibilities of departments, teams, team units and personnel during the emergency situation. So every time the work should be defined, or the personnel should be defined, that who are responsible for what kind of, who are accountable for what kind of work in emergency situation. It is always good to have such plan and clear spell out of roles and responsibilities. So it should address several specific types of emergencies. This emergency can be of many types. We have discussed in our first session that various kind of calamities and human act may occur in this kind of emergencies and crisis. So it should address several specific type of emergencies on an average basis, providing guidelines for stabilization or recovery from the incident, because our ultimate aim is to get recover from these. So these include emergency instructions and references in a concise format for the individual designated to manage the resources. It should encompasses preparation, response and recovery of utility personnel and resources for emergency situations. And it should facilitate interagency coordination, because in the case of the crisis and emergency, the interagency coordination is required. So it should facilitate the interagency coordination between the responding agencies, which are already defined. So the main thrust of the plan should be to make the utility employees familiar with the various kinds of emergencies and disaster which can affect the power sector, and the action plan to tackle them. The basic emergency procedure are designed to protect lives and property through effective use of available resources, both of utility and the community. Since the emergency may sudden and without warning, so these procedures should be designed to be flexible in order to accommodate contingencies of various types and magnitudes. So the plan should be made for 3 levels and types of emergencies. What are these levels? So accordingly we are dividing into 3 levels. Level 1, minor incident. Then level 2 is emergency, and level 3 is disaster. Level 1 is minor incident. Minor incident is defined as a local event with limited impact, which does not affect the overall functional capability of an organization. So planning response is carried out at a limited local level in this case, when the disaster is a minor, or when there is a minor incident event. This kind of event can be in a building, zone and grid at local level. So the disaster management plan would not be activated at this level. Now come to level 2, which is emergency. So an emergency is defined as a serious event that significantly disrupts one or more operations of the utility. So in this multiple location, because this kind of emergency can be in multiple locations, areas. So the disaster management plan would be activated to the extent necessary. Now the level 3 is of disaster. So well-defined and comprehensive disaster management plan. It should involve 3 types of response elements. What are these? Like the operational response, management response and communication response. So operational response to get the disruption under control as quick as possible. This is our aim, so that the normal operation is resumed. So this is at the operational level. Then management response is what? To allocate the resources, because at that time it is necessary to allocation of the resources and one should be responsible for that, who can lead from the front. So here, so management response is to allocate resources and make critical decisions needed to resolve the situation. Then the communication response, which is very much desired, to communicate with the employees, their families, officials and other agencies and media. So well-defined comprehensive plan should be there in case of the disaster. Now let us discuss about the structure of disaster management system. So in case of the crisis, what is our aim? Our prime focus of the activities would be at the actual installations, where the disaster has occurred, that is affected due to the impending or actual event of. But in case of the major disasters affecting the plant, installation or site, a comprehensive disaster management system should be in place with initiatives or support at regional and central level especially. That means you have to involve in that case the state, regional and central level when this is a major kind of disaster. So it is necessary to have an integrated approach at the national level to monitor and meet the various situations arising out of the crisis in power sector. A 4-tier disaster management structure, the purpose with intervention and response depending on the severity of the disaster or calamity. So it should be placed, a 4-tier system should be placed there. Any natural calamity may be broadly grouped into major and minor types depending upon their potential. Potential to what? Potential to cause damage to human life and property. So state and local level agencies should respond to minor incidents. Central and regional level interventions are necessitated for major calamities. So disaster management group should be set up at all levels, at central level, regional level, state level, local unit level. So the 4-tier system should be in place. So in the 4-tier structure, disaster management group should be set up at all levels. Let us discuss about the constitution of disaster management groups. So the responsibility of disaster management groups up to the state level, this will be described now. So a central level disaster management group, what are the responsibilities? The responsibilities are to facilitate development of a comprehensive disaster management plan and policy formulation at national level. So that all the policies, these are formulated at the central level, at national level. So facility and other responsibilities are facilitate to support from other national and state level agencies. So there it may be required in case of the major disaster that the support are required from the national and state level agencies. So this is facilitated by the central level disaster management group. Others are to coordinate the assistance in terms of what human resource and materials at national level, and to act as information resource desk for all related developments in the event of the disaster. So this central level disaster management group coordinate that all kind of assistance at national level only, because the disaster may be at a state level or at a local level. So in case of the major event, it is necessary to participation of the central level management group. Now the regional level disaster management group. So the responsibilities of regional level disaster management group are provide interstate emergency and startup of power supply. You know that the regional load dispatch centers, these are at the regional level established, so which coordinate with among the states. So interstate coordination is taken care by these at regional level. So which coordinate with generation plant at various state, and also with the state load as per the state load requirement. So there should be a disaster management group should be at the regional level to provide interstate emergency and startup of power supply, and coordinate early restoration of the transmission system. And the other responsibilities of this regional level disaster management group is to participate in the damage assessment and facilitate resource movement to affected state from other regional states. Now the state level disaster management group, the responsibilities are to mobilize resources for restoration in case there is any emergency or a crisis or disaster. So the state level disaster management group also ensure that the disaster management plans are in place, and they mobilize the financial resources, even facilitate interagency support, and the information, the coordination is taken care by the state level disaster management group. And these are the state level disaster management group facilitated for the damage assessment, because in case of any disaster it is necessary to assess the damage, that how much damage has occurred because of this, and to it is roughly evaluated, and accordingly the financial assistance is provided. It may be the financial resources or other resources are provided after the damage assessment. So other thing is what in the structure is that setting of the control rooms. So 3-tier controlling system may be set up for the disaster management. A central control room with headquarter at Delhi, like because it is the capital. So at national level there is one control room. The regional or state level control room to be located at a convenient place in the region or in state. So power station, grid substation level control room is also there to coordinate. So these control rooms should work in a well coordinated manner. So the main objective of these control rooms should be to pull up all possible resources to ensure continuity of the power supply in the country. So the control room of disaster management should have fast communication facilities for exchanging and uploading information through what? Direct hotline communication and equipment have to be provided for this purpose. And the list should be there with minimum workforce required for a continuous operation and maintenance of a particular utility on a 24-hour basis with 2 or 3 shift operation. So a complete list of the personnel, experts at national, regional level for the operation and maintenance of the utilities. It should be maintained so that in case of emergency, the experts may be sent for quick fault finding and restoration of the power supply. Regular mock exercises for different types of crises should be monitored by these control rooms to achieve the best possible response and efficiency of the services under disturbed conditions. So since the plant level emergency management group shoulders the major responsibility in disaster management, so we would like to deal with role or responsibilities of plant level emergency management group in some detail. And so learners, this will be discussed in the next section of this module of disaster management. We will discuss about the plant level emergency group. What are their functions? What is their role and responsibilities? Till then, happy learning.